Today's video is about Rust Legacy, a video game that was made available through Steam from Christmas time 2013 to Christmas time 2016 on behalf of its developer, Facepunch. And specifically, we're going to, or at least at the beginning of the video, fixate on Crimson Rust, a project at crimsonrust.eu to take the original game that may include files from all different versions from 2013 through 2016, add them with other software, mix it together for working with servers written by or altered by them to make a more revitalized version of the experience. Now, I'm showing you a set of links here on the page to get to the point quickly, and you can already read ahead on this, but I'm going to point out the drive.google.com link and the mega.nz link. The Google link ends in ZUPG, and the mega.nz link ends in HPXG. That's the first thing we're going to be doing here. And that was also, this is the current link, and that was valid back in 2025, October 24th and earlier. Most of these links, if you're not aware, but do not give you a time and date stamp that shows exactly when they were done. That would be other websites that do that. So these become timeless items in internet history. Anyway, and I did a video as of a little while ago about how there's something wrong. So we're going to get to the first page here, the download page. Now remember, the links are ZUPG and HPX-G. This is a current copy of the crimsonrust.eu download page. And when we hover over the Google Drive link, if you can read down there in the bottom of the screen, you're going to have to change your video to 720p to get 1:1 ratio in your pixels, and then max screen it full screen. It ends in ZUPG. The mega link ends in HPX-G, which means this is using the older one from last year for the download. Now, not to worry, it comes with an updater. Except, as I mentioned, I have a video where I talk about the updater being broken as of February 13th, 2026. Actually, earlier than that. I normally don't run an updater unless I have to, just like most of you should not run an updater unless you need to. So, where is the, well, let's talk about it. We're going to look at the help page. We get an email address and a Discord because, good Lord, yet another Discord that you have to join in order to do anything with. And that may or may not work. So let's bring up the download page. Okay, I'm sure the download page, since I've mentioned that this download is old and the updater won't work, at least it won't work all of the time, I'm sure that they've had enough people talking to them about it. I emailed them when I made that video, by the way, where somewhere in here there's an update. Warning, update. You will need to update some file on your operating system to make it work, or use this parameter by typing, in command line, rustupdate.exe / and then some command that'll force it to work. Like just have it download the client from a new version of the Google Drive link or mega.nz. Okay, let's look at what it would take for the website to update this with a current download link that doesn't need any updating and works. Because again, they made major changes to their servers so that their older version of the client, the one they're currently linking on their page, doesn't work. I did a video recently about a website that had the older and newer links, and none of them worked for the updater, and the older one was the only one that started because it wasn't labeled as being requiring a newer operating system. If you have an operating system requirement, say what it is. Is it Windows 11, Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, what? I want to point out that this game, again, emphasis added, was put out from 2013 to 2016 Christmas time in both years. And it explicitly states on any page you look it up at that it'll work on dreadfully old hardware and dreadfully old operating systems. So if you're going to make something that requires something different, say so. Let's look at our video, our page here. I'm going to right-click this link, copy the link, current link, copy the link, and I'm going to hit right-click View Page Source, which I'm going to explain in a minute what's going to happen. We're going to go ahead and look up Find. We're going to put the whole link in and see if it shows up. And it says no. Okay. Well, let's look up to see if there's anything dynamic going on. Let's just use the last 4 characters in that one link that's visible. None. This page is using probably escape codes or whatever to form some formatted file here. Something with... Actually, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's just obfuscating it. After all, this is not a normal hunk of text for doing something like loading a page. What this is telling me is that the page itself has embedded in it a bunch of things like there may be JPEGs and PNGs that are encoded in it as text, but I don't know. But the point is, the page is not written in an extremely simple HTML format that would make it easy for these people to be able to edit their own page. Also, if we try to open up, let's say, let's hit the FAQ page here. No, let's hit Need Help, which we already looked at. And it brings up, oh, look, it's Cloudflare. Crapping on everything. But again, we can go to Discord or just email them. So my email apparently did not result in any data coming back. So I'm cursed with going to Discord. Now, I will point out on one occasion, only one occasion, I went to a Rust Legacy remake project, and the Discord actually got to the point and said, here are the fix files. And it was a set of fix files to update your operating system, or more accurately, downgrade it so that it would include code from very old versions of the operating system so that the software would work. And that was for rustlegacy.eu. And that was for making it work with their 2014, 2015, and 2013 versions, if you wanted to. And then, of course, it included an update, which was primarily for the 2015 version, that would alter a single file that would make it totally compatible and work just fine. You could also apply it to the older versions, and it technically worked. I did that experiment and got some entertaining results, and it was actually quite nice. It actually did fix a few things. So I thank them for that. And that was a good use of Discord. On every other project, they've used Discord instead of using a website they paid good money to put up, and even more money, or worse money, to have it updatable, which apparently it's not. But I digress. Let's look at the results. So this is on gs4u.net. It keeps track of server performance and how popular games are. This one is for the normal or fun server, and this one is for the Battlefield or PvP only server. I want to point out, when you look at this, and I hover over these metrics they have on their own page, it points to these pages. So I'm just using a bigger version. And as you can see, when I look at this on a daily, because I hit the daily button, we see this. Well, what does this indicate? No more than 3 or 4 players on their PvP only or arena server. On the more generalized fun server or vanilla, not PvP only, it does PvP and PvE, there's 4 players. Now we're going to look at the monthly, which gives larger numbers. I'm just going to hit monthly on both real quick. On their player versus player only server, we had a peak of 14 December 2025. I made a video about this time when I was seeing peaks of 13 on a regular basis, but that's not peak. That was average. They're not doing justice to the servers, to the server here. They got a lot of users because at the time, Crimson Rust was the second best source for a client because it worked on everything. It didn't bring up everything in the server browser showing all the different servers, but it did work on virtually everything, with one big exception. And here we are with 18 players as a peak, and that was December or Christmas time 2025. So as we can see, they're not unpopular. But when we go to their own page, it shows that no one's playing. No one wants to play. Or maybe no one can play because you have a download for something that, at least on my system, won't let you update it and breaks. Hey, at least you're doing better than the last one I reviewed partially, where they made it to where the game itself would crash, and so would the updater, which defeats the purpose of the updater existing for a game, again, from 2013 to 2016. So again, here's the solutions. I'm just going to hand it to you. 1, just make another Google Drive and mega.nz link and put them into the page if you're allowed to. And if you're suffering from a content management system run by some corporation or entity for you, or worse, a lawyer, and they won't let you do this, simply blink. Tell everybody you're held hostage and you're going to use only the Discord. I don't want to use Discord, but that would help. Also, I sent you an email. Please respond. There's a joke there. So anyway, if you can, just give us new download links. Because you're using a Gmail address, you probably have access to a YouTube account that you made visible. Just put up a video updating the information rapidly, and end of the problem. Now, if you intentionally made it to where I have to have Windows 11 or 10 or 8 or something else, or if I have to have a patch because I'm running a version of Windows 7 in this case, and it's missing a certain file, like a certain Visual Basic thing, please tell us what it is, but don't just limit it to Discord. Put it on the download page, along with the updated links you should be able to do. Or, if you have to only have it on Discord, also make an auto-reply to crimsonrustlegacy@gmail.com emails so that we immediately get back what we're looking for. Nobody's contacting you about anything else, I believe, at this point. Now, we're going to bring up a little bit of the history of the game here, a little bit. Rustleak.webnode.mx, Espanol, or Rustleak GamerZone, was previously the best version of the gosh darn client I could find. It was awesome. And this is a modded 2025 October 24th version of the same thing. Huh? Yeah, it's essentially the same file. Because it ends in 62 OK. Okay, but they modded their own version, but it was still the same download. And then it stopped working exactly the same way as Crimson Rust did. Wonder why. Now, at the time, it was a modded version of Crimson Rust, and still is. And again, it does the same thing of not having an updater that works, or the game won't work, and the updater doesn't work, or just the updater doesn't work, but the game works, but you can't use it on Crimson Rust or Rustleak. I'll be doing videos about all of these later. Now, what was Crimson Rust? Crimson Rust originally was a modified rustuj. It comes with a file called crimson.bin or something, and it adds the Crimson utilities. And it basically adds a modded menu on F5 button click. Rustuj, again, was the third best client because it would work on pretty much everything except Crimson Rust and Rustleak. So you really wanted to get Rustleak GamerZone version. Now, where did rustuj come from? Oh, rustuj is a modified version of rustlegacy.eu, the one I mentioned before, that has been using exactly the same mega.nz downloads for their 2015 and 2013 versions. There's also a 2014 version I don't have listed here. They haven't changed these in a long time. And again, the only update they had was, yes, you had to go to Discord, and I made a video about it, about downloading a couple of files to update your operating system and replace a file outright. Because inside the code, it just grabs that file. In fact, I even have a link on how to download it, and it still works. And I'm thinking of messing with that. Honorable mention to Rust Legacy Classic Rust.ru, which is still going strong, but still doesn't let you update its version. Have you noticed these projects sabotaging themselves into the ground and not just edit your download page or edit your help page with the answers or something to prevent yourself from falling into obscurity as a project like keeps happening? I'm just saying. I'm sad to see these things keep collapsing as projects. They don't need to. So, again, emphasis added. If it's my operating system, yeah, it's Windows 7, of course it is. Okay, fine. What is the patch file I need, or what's the minimum operating system? Update your download page to say what it is. If you're requiring that we use Windows 11 on a game that came out in 2013, you might want to say it, get it over with, and take the slings and arrows. I'm sure everything will be fine. If, however, it's from a update to the operating system, say so. I might be missing something, but it isn't explaining that. And it's not your fault, of course. And on the help page, please stop using Discord and just use your web page. That's what it's for. But if you're going to use Discord, I will look there, and if I find an overt explanation as to what the hell's wrong, I'll put it up as a separate video and as an addendum to this one. Anyway, shout outs to them along with rustleak GamerZone for making two of the best possible versions of this game as far as the client. Now, if you just release your server software so that we can download it too, that would be great. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Bye.